Today is January 4th. It's a meeting of the Auburn Housing Authority Board. It is January 4th, 2024 at 1 p.m. And call us into order. Well, I guess the first thing is this is being recorded live by Auburn Community TV.
Is it live or is it Memorex?
Oh yeah, I guess it would have to be recorded live.
Right.
But is it being broadcast?
We are recording and streaming.
Okay, so we're live streaming. Okay. And is anybody else recording? No? The only member of the public here is Frank. Hi, Frank. And you've got a copy of the agenda, I assume? Okay, so I guess we can start off with the pledge. Pledges. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And with a firm reliance on the protection of divine providence, we mutually pledge to each other our lives, our fortunes, and our sacred honor. So next up is public comment. So do you have anything, Frank?
I don't.
Okay. And then we've got check registers for November. It's out of order. So let's see. I had a question on Ramsey Property Management for 4,500.
Power washing
Oh, okay.
at,
Is that all
Pembroke-
the buildings?
they did Pine Brook Court. And at one point they did the back of Package Jog. But they did the power washing.
How many buildings at Pine Brook Court?
6. They're duplexes. And they clean the gutters.
Is that something you went out to bid for?
Mm-hmm. We didn't get much response. But yes, we did. We made the calls.
The OD answering service, there are 2 checks for 425.
Mm-hmm.
Is that for 6
That's-
months or for state and
It's-
federal or is?
It's monthly, but they had an address change and there was question on where the checks were going, so we had to review the whole thing and we went back and
We missed sending them a payment, is that what it is?
So you've got Ramsey Property Management for $4,500 and A1 Mobile Power Washing for $6,400.
A1 did Stoneville Heights and Ramsey did Pine Brook Court in the back of PV.
A lot of dough. Great West Retirement, that's just funding the retirement monies.
That Great West is actually like a 401.
Right, and
Okay.
you're sending that money to them,
Mm-hmm.
which has been withheld from.
Yep.
And match.
Yes.
Is there a match? Is there a match? No match. No employer match.
No, there isn't. We collect the funds from the employees that
Right.
participate, and then we send it into Great West. But the Housing Authority does not
Does
match.
not match, okay. How often do you have the power, how often do you have the buildings power washed?
Once a year.
One per year?
And because we had so much rain this year, we had a lot of mildew
Mildew and mold, yeah,
on the buildings.
both sides.
And with it, people having breathing issues, and we have them done once a year.
Yeah. Whitco, there's a whole bunch of Whitcos here. Is that just like 5, 6?
Appliances.
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 And if you're finding multiple payments, it's because we were waiting for the bills to come in. They don't bill on a timely basis, but I was trying to get as many bills cleaned up in '23
Yeah, the end of the year.
rather than having them drag into the '24 budget. It's a '23 bill.
Right.
So we need to, and that's what happened last year. We had 22 bills that were dragging into '23. So we started off like not good.
Yeah,
So,
you look like you have excess budget in one year and not enough in the next.
and I tried to avoid that this year, but I'm still waiting. But you're going to see a lot of bills that were paid on the 29th of December because we are doing cleanup.
Right.
What is property protection monitoring?
They are our fire alarm, like answering service. So if an alarm is going off, they would contact the fire department. So it's an alarm service.
Okay. And that's an annual
Mhm.
fee?
Yes.
When's the last time that you reviewed that and looked for any other company?
I think it's been 2 years.
2 years?
You want it?
Thank you, I've got one.
That's quick.
It's not so bad for a month.
And we haven't had any issues with them. So,
Okay.
Anything else?
I'm sorry. Okay, so then again, I'm so late. Bergeron Plumbing and Heating, that was a whopper.
what we're noticing is that the plumbing is failing. Like at Pheasant Court, we've had to replace the tubs because the tubs are actually rotting out. We had some issues with water, the pipes rotting out in the walls, like Bergeron had to do, was like $5,000, almost $6,000 because the pipe burst in the wall, so he had to open up the hall wall, and then they had to replace all the plumbing in the wall.
Well, what does the maintenance schedule look like on those types of, I mean, that's something that has to be done on a schedule, right? So what does that maintenance schedule look like?
The tubs are part of the state 5-year plan,
Mm-hmm.
and this wasn't the year. And what happened is
Are these metal tubs? Cast iron tubs?
I honestly don't know. It's a
The,
tub.
the state,
It's old. It was built in like 80s.
And hadn't been replaced since the
Correct.
80s.
Correct.
Wow.
So when you look at it that way, it's not so bad. But now we're replacing tubs.
So is that something on this year's schedule? Replacing all the tubs? No.
They need windows, there's other things that were scheduled ahead of it.
Mhm.
I mean,
Is there a rolling maintenance schedule for these items?
yes, but it's determined by the state.
And when the guys are going in and looking at the places every year when they're doing their review,
The inspections.
are these the inspections, are these things being noted and?
Yes, and that's why if you look at big plumbing issues late in the year, it's because it's based upon the inspections when they went in. This is what they found.
Yeah.
Like drains were rotted out, pipes underneath were rotted out. So all these things were identified, and we had to call a licensed plumber in to fix all these
Of course.
issues. So that's why you're seeing a lot of plumbing at the end of the year. It's based upon the inspections and what was found. And it's better for us to find it as opposed to when the state
Yeah,
comes in
fails.
and inspects
Or when there's a problem.
or when there's a problem.
So the
But
state
if-
does its own inspection too?
Mhm.
And is that annually as well?
And so these tubs were installed in the 80s and they're starting to fail now. There was no indication prior, into the prior 5-year schedule that something was going on. I mean, these tubs don't rot out overnight.
I know. But there's only a pocket full of money that they give us, and it gets divided between Packagug Village in the front, Pheasant Court, and Auburn Heights. So you get one lump sum, and it gets divided up.
Well, that's understood, but it would seem that if there was a problem that was identified, then that money would be put towards that problem and get that straightened out before, particularly when it comes to water issues. Because water can cause so much more damage,
And water in Auburn is hard.
and water in Auburn is awful. How about water softening systems and things like that? Has that ever been investigated? Because that would help with the, all of your plumbing, your appliances.
That's a major expense,
It is, but in the long run,
but you
it
have
would
to
be
have the
a
money.
saving.
On the federal side, it's something that we could consider. On the state side, we'd have to approach, put it in there and see what they say. But it is an issue in Auburn. They've
It's
I
known,
mean, we've
terrible
got,
issue
we've
in
got
Auburn.
the,
we've had hard water forever.
we've got some breathing room on the federal side. So maybe that's something to look at and put it
We
in,
should be
put it in
investigating
on the
that.
federal side. And then how it works, and then we can pitch it to the state to, increase the budget and fix the water.
I mean, it's
better than paying
very
for the
well
appliances
documented that Auburn
And all
has
the other stuff.
horrible water. When you're replacing appliances every 5 years, 3 to 5 years, which we live in Auburn, it's been our experience. And we put a whole house water softening system in many years ago, and it's been a lifesaver. So in the long run, it's a more cost-effective way to head off some of these other. I think it's something we should get on the agenda and investigate where we might find funding for that.
Well, there's only one place for the funding, but it's a question of,
We're
Not
gonna have to wait
necessarily.
to see how we do this year because we had so many plumbing issues. We're gonna have to see where we are with our reserves and then go from there. I'm gonna have to try to approach them to get them to help pay for some of the issues we've already had. See if they can give us some money back. I mean, we have old pipes.
right.
The front
Right,
PV
which
was
is-
built in the 70s,
When do they do their inspections?
whenever they feel like it. We don't have, they tell us, but HUD, we won't see HUD because we did well on the last one, so I don't expect to see HUD for a couple years because we scored so high. And they only give you 2 weeks' notice that they're coming.
Well, yeah.
2 weeks' notice, so
But when they're doing inspecting, are they inspecting Just the books, or are they inspecting the properties?
the property and the books.
The HUD, that, you're talking about HUD or the state?
Both.
Okay. I mean, you know, you can whisper in their ear when they come.
Oh, and you know what, I'm gonna,
Like, we would like to fix this.
I'm
But
gonna-
it'd be nice to
That'd be
have,
one way to do it.
you know, get one, because we've got a few different plumbers, like, just ask them to submit a proposal. Like, I mean,
so it would be a water softening system.
Yep. The water
it,
side.
yeah, it's,
Goes in right where the water comes into the building. And then, of course, there'll be continuing cost as far as the salt and things like that. But in the long run, if you can get 10 years out of an appliance versus 3 to 5, then you're saving money.
And which the pipes have to be changed and everything.
Well, the pipes are gonna clearly have to be
The
changed
pipes are rotting
anyways,
out
Right, so-
anyway.
because they were probably all copper and,
That's right.
And now
Yeah.
everything's
Yeah,
PVC,
so,
Mhm.
so,
So I'm gonna put in a call to the state and see if our budget, maybe the 5-year plan can be revised and cross off some of the things, but I mean, the windows are a big deal at Packagug Village.
yes,
A
they
big-
are.
A big deal. People have been waiting a long time. But we have more windows coming. They just went out, like the architect, the engineer. It's huge money, just for that. But
Well, that's why I say, it seems to me that a rolling maintenance schedule would be a much more effective way of, you know, a couple every year, or, you know,
that's what they're doing with
and
the
you're going,
windows.
and then you're going back and you're starting the process over again,
Hmm.
rather than trying to, you know, eat 30 or 60 or 150 windows in one bite.
And we don't have the money for that because they don't give you that kind of money.
Right, but that's why I say,
You got to do a little
gotta
at a
do a
time.
little at a time.
Mhm.
And the materials have only gotten better. I mean, it's not like you have to case them with wood, you have the, you know,
Right.
plastic options now, so you're not getting that rot, and
They're more expensive.
yes, but in the long run, they're
I
not.
understand.
Yeah.
But remember, this is a low budget operation.
it is a, you know, it's not like you don't have the choice to manage everything,
And we just need to be smarter.
right?
Well, this is it. This, I guess that's, yeah.
Instead of always being
Reactive.
reactive, we need to be more proactive. We do.
Absolutely, yeah.
But you need to have the money in order to be proactive.
Right,
But we have to be smarter about requesting and put it on a rolling plan.
Yeah,
That's what you're saying?
maybe,
well, the squeaky wheel gets the
yep,
grease.
and maybe
So-
let's take a look at the maintenance, how the maintenance schedule happens, and, yeah. Like to see that. Okay.
All right. Just the number. All right, so are you done with November? Do we have any?
Yeah, I
comments
have
on
no more
November?
questions on November, yeah.
So I guess the first thing to do
Make
is,
a motion to approve the check register for November.
right, in a second,
I second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. It's unanimous. The check registers for November are approved. December is the one that you emailed us?
Yeah.
I never actually printed that out.
Yeah.
And the reason it took so long was I was trying to get the rest of in order for the revolving to be included, I had to process all those bills that came December 29th
Mhm.
in order for you to get the whole,
Sure.
so it's still issuing, like you signed some, Rosie signed some. All those payments have been gone. I mailed them all, they're gone. But they were all 23 debt, and I didn't want them in the 24
Mhm.
budget. But Rosie and Sharon both came in to sign all that.
We got them done.
Any questions on December?
So Waste Management Corporate Services, that's the refuse, and
Mm-hmm.
that's the same
Yes.
price every month?
It's
You got a contract with them?
We have a contract with them, and it depends if there are mattresses, if residents are throwing out televisions, so it could fluctuate depending on what they're picking up in the trash rooms.
And how does that work with the residents? They're allowed to throw mattresses and TVs
No,
and things away?
They have to pay for that, don't they?
they're supposed to.
Yeah, that's their stuff.
Or if someone moves out and all of a sudden the trash room is loaded, and it's just the way it is. That,
Nature of the beast.
yeah, and that, it seems like it's the cost of doing business. Because, and the residents will call up and say that the trash room is loaded with a bunch of stuff, but then you look to see who moved out of that building,
That's right.
and that's where the trash was generated.
Mm-hmm. All Points HVAC? Was that the problem you've been having with the condensers?
Like
And the
even,
Hayes Company?
even Frank's AC heat unit failed. The whole unit failed.
Yes.
So they had to come in and replace his whole unit. And in the meantime, he was using a space heater. So that's where that All Points came in. Big bill.
Yeah.
But his unit, the whole unit failed, right, Frank?
That's right, they replaced the whole thing up.
And so there's been
Without the
problems
wall.
with all of these units?
A lot of them.
It's starting.
And where did these units come from?
They were through National Grid Rise Engineering. We actually had a grant to get the units. They were a Mitsubishi AC split mini pump
Yeah,
thing.
it's fine.
McDonald installed them. Stoneville was done first, and they drain outside. Then they did Packagug, and they drain inside.
Oh.
The whole thing is, but we didn't pay for the units. National Grid, through Rise Engineering, paid for them, but now we're responsible for,
The maintenance and upkeep and their dogs.
And the replacement.
and they give us a subsidy on the state side. It's like $300 a unit, but even the cleaning is big money. And then when the pumps, the circulator pumps, they're finding, because I asked them what the deal is with the circulator pumps, and they said that they're failing and they're not going to allow housing authorities to use them anymore. Well, it's too late for us. We already have them.
What about Hayes Companies?
Insurance.
What's insurance?
Yeah.
General liability,
Mhm.
housing? Yeah. And Northeastern Tree Service?
Northeastern Tree Service,
The big ones.
that actually was a capital expense, and they trimmed back the trees up at the front of Packagug. Like they kind of took all the ground out and raised them up so that we didn't lose the trees. But we had an arborist come in and prune the trees the right way.
Okay.
And that's paid through the state capital fund. They did that whole process. So we'll get reimbursed for that. We pay first, and then a bill gets submitted, and then we get reimbursed by the state.
Okay. So the insurance is over 50,000 a year, because I see another one here for housing insurance services.
One state, the other's federal.
Okay. Which is which?
Hayes is state. That's the one you asked about, and it was through the other housing authority.
And the other two are federal?
The other two are federal. And that's commercial liability, terrorism, property.
Yeah, the whole 9 yards.
Yeah, we got it all.
And Mazzoni was another one for the plumbing and heating for the 7,200 for the rusted tubs and broken pipes. Is the GIC insurance, is that the annual amount?
The GIC,
Yeah,
that's what we pay
annually?
monthly. Couple of quarterly, but then one is monthly. But that's for the retirees is one amount, for the current employees is another amount. Then they charge you like an admin fee for another amount. And then you get a lump sum because you didn't pay enough money in the,
Yeah.
like they kind of like prorate it, but then they go back and make an adjustment. So you'll see like the last
I
one
didn't
was,
see anything in November, so that's why I was asking. Okay. That must have been a quarterly.
but that's our employee insurance, retiree insurance.
So that all points HVAC, that one happened in November and December, same amount?
Different unit.
This bill correlates to one unit? When you say one unit, one home, one apartment? And this is just the tip of the iceberg with these?
We're gonna have to do something. This was a big mistake. See, with Stoneville, we had a different heating system here. It was like stored heat. And they didn't have radiators. It was a different system. And the system was obsolete. So that's why we went with the split, figuring it was,
Everybody's pushing the mini
Mini
splits.
splits, yeah, Oxford just redid all theirs, mini splits too.
but it depends on how they drain. And that condensate pump is not a good thing. But it wasn't anything we paid for initially, but we are responsible going forward.
Are you aware of how many other housing authorities took advantage of that?
I didn't really, I mean, I know that some did, but it wasn't any, I mean, we don't,
I mean, it sounds like
You're
a
in
class
the-
action lawsuit. That's what it sounds like.
If they all fail.
They all fail. It's a class action lawsuit. I'd be interested to see how many other housing
Mitsubishi
authorities.
on the hook.
That's right. How many other housing authorities did this and are now faced with this? Because that's, you might as well just flush that money right down the toilet.
and I don't know how much we've actually saved.
Doesn't sound like a lot.
When you look at the repairs, I don't see where it was cost effective at all.
I think that'd be something.
The problem is it's gonna be the hardware, not the installation. But with the insurance company might cover the labor. Who knows, depends on what the original contract says. That's a big question.
Yeah,
That I can
go back
address
to the contract.
with the state.
Yeah. Please, maybe something to, because that's just to be hung with that. Because you took advantage of a good program.
Well, they could be replacing them at no charge
Right.
when they fail.
Right.
So,
Right. But it would have greater heft if everybody that was involved in it.
And it's not just us that's having this issue.
Well, that's what I'm saying, though, that's what you need to find out, is how many others are struggling with this. And, where do we go from there? You have an attorney. All right, we have an attorney for the housing authority, isn't it a question that you could ask Karen?
Karen
Or is
is,
Karen not doing those?
Karen
kinds
is
of things?
Regarding the
more administrative.
residents,
All right, more than-
yeah.
Yeah,
This
Well,
would be,
you have
this would
somebody
be like a
else.
risk management kind of a deal.
This is a procurement issue
Procurement issue, yeah.
for the state, which they certainly have plenty of people in procurement. So
Yeah.
it's like,
They've
you
got a
know,
lot of power.
it's like the
in
panels
procurement in
dropping
the
in
state
town.
too.
like somebody,
Has the state been made aware of this?
Yes,
And what's the,
we'll get back to you on that.
and how long has that been going on?
Months.
How many months?
Well,
how old
I
are the
approached
systems?
people, when I went to the state conference in May, I approached people then,
How old are these units?
maybe 4 years. I kind of lose track of time.
Yeah, well,
I
I mean, it's not the kind of thing that, oh,
We can
somebody
look it up.
complained, I'm gonna go sue Mitsubishi. I mean, it's gonna take, this is gonna be
That's
a
why I
big,
say it's.
it's got big, this is, it's probably already on their radar, but you
Right,
can,
but the
but you
place
can
to
always
coordinate
ask.
it would be with the
you know, because the
PPO.
more it shows up on our balance sheet,
Yeah,
you
and the
know,
place to coordinate it would be with the PPO.
yeah. Yeah. But you're probably not gonna get an answer very quick.
Well,
Like-
no,
like-
but I mean, it's already been 8 months and, you know, you brought it up, but has it been pushed since? No. Time to follow up?
Yes,
So, it's terrible.
Okay, so register for December. Anything else?
Just one question. We talked about the National Grid in pretty good detail the last time. And there's all these huge credits, but now I'm seeing all these, you know, that's a pretty big, lot of big payments.
and it's pretty much on the state side, the way they divided it up.
Mm-hmm.
So we're still not seeing a big expense on the federal side, but now we're starting to see the credits are being used up on the state side, and now we're getting the bills. Of course, now it's winter,
Hmm.
so they're gonna be higher traditionally at this time of year.
Because the mini
It's
splits are
electric
gonna,
heat.
mini
AC
mini splits are
and-
taking a
right,
lot more power.
Right, right. Okay.
And that's why I'm saying, what are we really saving? Were you able to get a hold of somebody at National Grid to ask about the credits?
No, I was gonna talk to,
We should ask.
maybe Mike
No,
Moore or
yes.
somebody, but
I know.
we would need a lot more detail, I think, to, you know, they're not administrators, you know what I mean? Like, even, you know, for them to get something into a committee is not that easy. It could take 3 years to come out.
Mhm.
Make a motion to approve the check register for December.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, it's unanimous. Okay, next up, minutes for September 21st. Any discussion? September, October, November, December. Actually, I have 4 of them.
I'll make a motion on the September ones. Motion to approve the September meeting minutes.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, it's unanimous.
Abstaining from October, I was not here.
And
I
we have
did
a
watch the
motion.
meeting, but
And we got a motion to,
You weren't there, were you?
I was not there.
I make a motion to accept the minutes in
Okay.
October.
second,
Second.
thank you. All in favor?
Thank you.
Aye.
Aye, it's unanimous. Minutes for November,
I motion to approve it.
is there a second?
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, it's unanimous. And lastly, minutes for December,
I motion to approve it.
I second.
all in favor?
Aye.
I guess I should have asked if there was any discussion. All right, so next is our open meeting law complaints, which I
What
think
was
we,
his complaint? I didn't see his, complaint, but I'm seeing your
the complaint
response.
was that we did not approve the minutes on the third meeting or within 30 days or later. I think they were, you could show her that.
I gave her that.
You got it.
I think he's wrong. I think they were all approved on the third meeting. But in any case, they were all approved before he submitted his complaint. So, I don't know what else, there's no way to put that back in the bottle except maybe be
Well,
aware that we were
We're gonna correct
behind.
it.
And we've had the discussion and it's gonna be corrected. so
Yeah.
It's gonna be
Yeah,
corrected.
that's
All the
That's the
minutes
important thing, right?
to date have been voted on. I'm gonna send them to Ginger. I had a conversation with Ginger, because I want them posted, because I want him to be able to see
Right.
that in fact they were done in a timely manner, and going forward,
Right.
they will
We
be
won't get
done.
behind.
We're not gonna get behind again.
And the second part of his complaint is that he sent me a fax, and I don't have a fax number. So, not much I can handle there.
Is that what they do?
So anyway, we don't actually have to vote on this, I
No.
don't believe, so we can just keep going. And the last item, actually, did I miss something? Because we have, was Gary supposed to be here? Or
No. Gary wasn't
Because we have
supposed
the treasurer's reports, which are not on the agenda.
Right. So we'll have to hold that until next meeting.
In the
So-
past, we never put the treasurer's report on the
But
agenda.
we requested that at the last meeting and so now, but it should
That
be
you
on
were
the
gonna
agenda.
get it, you want it on the agenda.
Oh, okay.
That's,
So it's
that's
not-
where I missed.
Okay, that's fine. All right. So we could, but this is a member, we could do this as a, if you want to discuss it, we can discuss it as a member item,
It just won't be a vote.
right?
Right, but again, not having had, a lot of time to review those, I think
We
that
could put
I
it
would,
on the next one.
I would ask that we hold any discussion about that for the next meeting,
Right.
if everybody, is okay with that.
Okay, so then, are there any other member items?
Well, I think for, going forward, I'd love to see what those maintenance schedules look like for each one of the, locations under the housing.
I have that right here.
Okay. And then we need to follow up with the state about what the status is on those units and being made aware of this devastating consequence of
I may need help,
junk is put
I
in,
may need help
installed.
on these as far as reaching out to these people, because we're coming into rent recertification, which I do, for PV. So those 90 units have to be done by March 1st, and I have to give them 2 weeks' notice prior to the new rent. And so I'm gonna have 90 units of rent that I'm gonna be doing. So if I have like an outline so that I can reach out to the state, and Faldy, who works for the state, he can help me.
Are you the only one that does the rent recertifications? And how long have you been doing that?
Years.
Since the, and you don't have staff that can assist you with that?
We have, they,
I guess-
they do, they make
They
the
do.
copies, but I'm the one that calculates the rent.
Okay.
And they do make the copies, and they do have the residents come in, because they have to sign for everything.
Talk to me about the rent calculation, how does that happen?
Well, it's done through the software program, and we require,
What software are you using for that?
that's PHA Network.
Okay,
You had asked about that at the last meeting, because we had a payment to them. But we notified the residents that their rent calculation is due, and they need to give us social security letter. Any changes, they need to justify their income. They need to justify any deductible expenses. So that means CVS or anything that's a reasonable medical expense comes off their rent. And any change, their banking, because we collect 1% of the interest on any assets they have. So the system calculates the rent. I just have to plug in the information that they give us. And then the system generates how much their new rent is gonna
so
be.
you're doing all of the data entry? Is that the best use of your time? Or is there,
Because it's all kind of confidential.
well, of course, but isn't everybody under confidential requirements here?
It's good use of my time. Just saying.
And she gets to know everybody.
And I have a good sense of where they're at, money-wise. And you can actually tell how much money they have by how much rent they're paying.
And I understand all of that, but wouldn't it be just as helpful if there was someone that you could rely on to do the data entry portion for you? And then you did the final review, freeing up your time for other more pressing things that you've got going on as well. I guess I'm just asking, is there a better way to balance that workload?
Down the road.
Yeah. And currently, are all positions filled? You have no open positions in the administrative portion of the
Right now, we're all,
housing authority? You
we're
are
filled.
all filled.
That doesn't mean we can't change job responsibilities
I
around.
just think data entry, is probably not the best use of your time.
I was a data entry clerk.
Well,
I was never a
you're
secretary,
not a data entry clerk
just so
now.
you know,
You're
but I
not
was a data entry.
clerk now, you're an executive director.
I've been the executive director for 17 years.
Mhm.
But it is, I understand what you're saying,
Yeah, I mean,
but when you have,
that's why you have, employees as an executive director to do some of the lesser tasks, time-consuming tasks, delegation.
Anything else?
I understand what you're saying.
Like you said, going forward, I think that's something we're probably gonna have to work on.
Staff development.
Staff development, yeah. I mean, you're not a data entry clerk. And there's gotta be at least one trusted staff member that could assist with these without you worrying about, confidential information being, divulged.
See, part of it is with Champ is a huge consumer of time.
Mm-hmm. And Albany, typically that's revenue function.
And Albany's been doing the inspections with Frank because she enters all the work orders in the system.
Mm-hmm.
Albany does a huge amount of data entry
Mm-hmm.
between Champ and the work orders
Yep.
and the inspections.
A lot of
And-
paperwork.
There's a lot of paperwork, and even as far as to get people to housed, it's like you have to send out references. You have to make sure they give
I
you.
understand,
It's like
yeah,
a huge
I
amount of
understand
time.
all that, yeah.
So
And we
giving
have
them more
part-time
work,
people.
it's not necessarily,
Well, no, but it's a redistribution and appropriate tasks based on, you know,
mhm,
based on that.
right.
And
I understand.
I don't think it's, you know, the best use of Lori's time to be doing data entry. So that's what I'm saying. Yeah. Okay.
And part of it is if I'm going to be held responsible, I want to know what's being done. Ultimately, I'm
course, you-
responsible for everything that goes on here.
Right, but that's when you review it, you are, you know, you're on top of that, but somebody else is doing, you know, you can delegate a task, but you can't delegate a responsibility. So ultimately, the responsibility is yours to make sure that that task is being done correctly and appropriately.
And I'm not flawless. I make mistakes.
Well, we all do. We all do. Nobody's above that.
No, but sometimes you can get a lot of data out of a sheet of paper that's not just the data. And that, I think, is what she's sort of
Well,
implying.
and again, it's
Because,
about.
because it is still a person business.
Absolutely, but there are processes and procedures that help streamline things.
Mhm.
And if you're not constantly improving and you're working in a vacuum constantly and you're not looking at those opportunities to streamline and improve, then you stay pretty stagnant and you're doing the same things that are creating a lot of paper and making a lot of extra work that
Mhm.
isn't necessary.
Right, right,
And that's my point.
right, right. Don't make the same mistake twice, kind of a thing.
Right.
So,
Right.
But-
Well, and it's not even making a mistake. It's streamlining and making the tasks more efficient
mhm,
in an effort to be able to free up some of your time to get and to get the best out of the people that are working for you, to be doing and helping you to see better ways of doing things and streamlining operations. That's, you know, ultimately, you surround yourself with good people, that's what they're gonna bring to you, you know? So, that's all I'm saying.
I understand what you're saying.
anything else for members? Frank,
I'm all set.
anything? Okay, I guess I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
All in favor?
Uh,
Aye, it's unanimous.